The missing link. When evolutionists speak of the missing link, as though there were only one link missing, they are being coy. Scientist Anthony Standen, in his book Science is a Sacred Cow, published in 1950, says of the term missing link, it is a most misleading phrase because it suggests that only one link is missing. It would be more accurate to say that the greater part of the entire chain is missing, so much that it is not entirely certain whether there is a chain at all. Found on page 106. There are untold millions of links needed to connect modern man with a slimy mud puddle of millions of years ago. There are thousands needed to connect him with a primitive ape form the evolutionists do not even possess. They cannot forge a single link to connect any two of the hundreds of family groups. More embarrassing, they cannot produce even a starting point of life for their evolutionary chain reaction. Their first link is a missing link. But unabashed, the evolutionist prattles on about the missing link between man and some primitive ape. He no longer contends that man descended from any existing ape, having abandoned the monkey myth so long taught with such cocksure arrogance. Nevertheless, he persists in inferring man's relationship to ape by referring to the supposed missing link as ape men. He also clings to the ape theory in an effort to make his argument by classification stick. For when he arranges skeletons according to resemblance, from fish to man, he includes in the series chimpanzees and apes, though he admits that they do not belong in man's ancestry. Such tactics are neither fair nor scientific. One of the most famous is called the Java man, or to give it the name by which the scientist likes to impress the layman, Pithecanthropus erectus, which means an erect standing ape man. In 1891, Du Bois discovered in river gravel a few fragments of a skull and some teeth. Later, at a point 50 feet distance, he found a thigh bone. From these bits, unjustifiably concluding that they came from the same animal, he built the Java man. But at the Third International Congress of Zoologists at Linden, Professor Virchow pointed out the obvious objection that while the skull fragment was chimpanzee or gibbon, the thigh bone was human, and the circumstances of their discovery indicated that they came from different creatures. This interpretation has been confirmed by other outstanding biologists. Another missing link around which controversy has raged is the Piltdown man. It consists of skull fragments, a jawbone, and a tooth. The skull is agreed to be human, but the jaw and tooth belong to a fossil chimpanzee, said Professor Hidlicka in a Smithsonian report. Yet these unrelated parts were combined to give a human skull, a chimpanzee jaw, to produce an impossible animal that could neither breathe nor eat, according to Sir Arthur Keith. First, the brain capacity of Piltdown man was conveniently estimated to be halfway between that of man and ape. But scientific opinion differed so on this point that the builders of Piltdown man had to revise their figure, and today the brain size is generally conceded to be about 1,400 cubic centimeters, as large as a resident of Piltdown today. The age of this missing link has generally been placed at some 500,000 years. But the September 17, 1949 Science newsletter shows that such trust can be put in the impressive array of zeros scientists recklessly tracked on their estimates of the ages of things. Famous Piltdown Man, long considered to be mankind's oldest ancestor, is a mere anthropological infant, not more than 10,000 years old. Dr. K.P. Oakley of the British Institute disclosed to the British Association for the Advancement of Science. There is no need to continue detailing the discoveries of a tooth here, a leg bone there, a skull fragment somewhere else, all of which scattered rubbish is brought together, sworn to belong together, and from which is constructed entire families of hunting ape-men. The large jaw of Hedlickberg man is similar to some found among the Eskimos of today. In Peking man, the evolutionists thought they had found what their theory needed, but people now living in Ceylon and Vedas are very similar. Neanderthal man is a degenerated type of human and falls within the varieties of present-day man. Recent discoveries of ape-men in Africa, such as Australopithecus and Plissianthropus, are admitted by the discoverers to be too young to be man's ancestors. The skulls of modern-type men have been found in many places that are older than the so-called missing links. After mentioning this fact, Sir Arthur Keith said, "The majority of anatomists and geologists simply refuse to believe in the authenticity of these discoveries because they run so contrary to their preconceptions." Of the popularly known missing links, Professor Keith says, "We may say at once that as geological records now stands, we cannot trace modern man back to any of these extinct types." Professor W. Branco of Berlin University said, "Paleontology tells us nothing on the subject. It knows no ancestors of man." Eric Wiseman, in Modern Biology and the Theory of Evolution, wrote, "The whole hypothetical pedigree of man is not supported by a single fossil genus or a single fossil species." Professor Virchow declared, "The ape-man has no existence and the missing link remains a phantom." In 1929, Austin H. Clark, biologist of the Smithsonian Institution, said, "Missing links are misinterpretations."